Right. Well, welcome to Kitchen Sink Microscopy, your favorite place to be every Sunday, or well, sometimes Saturdays. You never
Mhm.
know. Um, so this week I thought might be interesting to talk about. I don't really know what's going on in the media these days, especially in the U.S. If this is even being talked about at all. But um, one of the exes of Elon Musk came out and said that she kind of like had some information about the election actually being rigged up using Starlink and all that stuff. And like it's just kind of crazy to me that like there can actually be so much like evidence and like testimony being thrown around about this, but nothing really being done. Like, isn't that
Yeah.
kind of crazy? Like,
Well, yeah, and so now I read through that post. That was a Substack post that
mhm.
you had shared with me, and of course, I read through it on my phone,
Yeah.
which, if you see my phone, is
Yep.
not exactly ideal for somebody that's 50. But I looked through it and I didn't see a lot of like external links to other things necessarily. It was sort of like a lot of um,
That particular
statements and
Substack,
stuff.
like in subsequent, like you kind of gotta like read through other things that they post too.
Mhm.
Like there's oftentimes they'll be showing like graphs and stuff like that. And they're
Yeah.
like totally weird stuff that does not match up whatsoever with normal human psychology when it comes to voting and stuff like that. Like so
Yeah, I did
things
see
like
a
that
couple
they do
things there.
provide as evidence that
Well, and so I guess this sounds a lot like the last election. I mean, that there were people were suspicious of things, and there's not.
the
The
trouble is
shitty
I never
thing.
saw anybody actually providing any evidence before. It was all based off of Trump's word. It was like it was
No, it wasn't.
religion,
No, it
basically.
was other people. It had nothing to do with Trump. Like back then. Well, I mean, obviously he had his own things, but this more substantive things were from other people. Just sort of like, hey, wait a minute. But it's like I'm skeptical all the time of all anything like
Mm.
that. Any kind of extraordinary claim, just you got to have some extraordinary evidence. And like what, at least what I saw in that was more like, okay, somebody said this thing, and so we're going to back it up with some data that isn't connected to that. Like I didn't see any technical detail. That's, I guess, that's the thing. It's like, oh yeah, there's some weird numbers and stuff like that. Well, yeah, there's always weird numbers, and maybe this brings up the point that like, hey, maybe we should be skeptical of every election, right? Like if people can meddle and fiddle around with things and basically defy the will of the people, I think we should be concerned with that. That
Hmm.
if our system is so insecure, they all obviously the politicians, well, whenever they're on the winning side, they always say, "Oh, the election's totally secure," and then when they're on the losing side, they're like, "Oh, well, I don't know, somebody messed with it, and so it's the Russians and da da da," and it's like, well, okay, but you can't have both at the same time, right? It can't be both super secure and also super susceptible to
Right.
interference. So
Well, and
which is it?
the other problem is that all the corruption has all the power.
Yeah.
So it's like we as the public, we don't always get to see all the evidence, but that doesn't
Mhm.
mean it isn't there.
Oh, I
That
know
doesn't
it.
mean it's not legitimate, like
Well, and that's true.
that's 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 what I really want to try to drive home to people nowadays, like with critical thinking and stuff, like there is such a thing as being too critical. There is such a thing as being too skeptical and being like, oh well, let's not take, let's take this with a grain of salt because we don't have all the information and stuff. But it's like having all the information requires so many uh powerful people with interests in having a narrative in a certain way that you're never actually going to get. the whole picture. So that's not a good excuse to let something like that slide, you know?
Well, for sure. And I wouldn't suggest that that's what people ought to do. Um, but I think from my perspective, I look at things from a like an extra political, like, like beyond politics sort of thing. I'm looking
Mm,
from orbit, basically.
yeah.
And so because it's really easy to be critical of something or skeptical or suspicious when it's not going your way. But the times that you should be the most like skeptical, I guess, is when it is going your way, because well, like you're kind of saying there are powerful people
It's
that are
never
not going to
going our
be.
way.
Well, no, good point. Yep, you hit it on the nail on the
That's
head
that's
right there.
that's that's my problem, you know,
Yep,
like that.
that's a mic drop
I
moment right
I
there.
actually I would not be surprised at all. I think I've voiced this hypothesis before. I would not be
Mm,
surprised at all if it was intended for Biden to win, whether or not it actually played out that way in a
mm,
legitimate fashion or not.
mm.
I think that was definitely in the cards, like because we saw what happened, how they pushed out Bernie Sanders and all that stuff.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Then it set up the rhetoric for Trump to be like completely without any evidence whatsoever. It was a stolen election, blah blah blah, and then creating all that psychology around claims like that. Oh, look at the senile old man claiming that
Mm.
the election was stolen, so that when they turn around and steal the next election, anyone's going to be like, "Oh, I better not say that that's a stolen election because then they'll think I'm crazy." Because
Well, and
like
and it
that's the problem with people relating arguments based on what the argument is rather than what it's founded on.
mm.
They're like, "Oh, that argument must be crazy. I better not make it." No, the argument without evidence is crazy, but if you make the argument with evidence, that's legit, you
Well,
know?
and there is a fair degree of evidence for both of those things, like enough to be like where things that make you go
Yeah,
basically, like, well,
yeah.
wait a minute here, that doesn't add up.
Right.
Which
The
now you could,
DNC definitely like early stages w was fucking with stuff
well,
last time around. Like,
well, yeah, and now keep in mind too that this sort of claim is not new. It
no.
has been going on as long as I've been alive, watching elections play out and stuff.
Well, we
People have
saw the
been,
same thing with Bush, but like
yeah,
it's way beyond time we could actually do anything about that. That's the only reason we're talking now about this previous election, you know, where Trump won, is because there actually is still a possibility to bring scrutiny on that and reverse some of the damages theoretically. You know, like, will
that's
that
never going to
actually
happen.
happen? Hell
It's no,
no.
no, no, no. The system is that, see, like what you were saying about these powerful people, they're not
Mhm.
going to be forthcoming with any kind of information. They're not going to be uh, looking inward and looking at themselves. They're not going to do anything or provide any information that's going to call anything into question. Because I honestly, I'll tell you, I think both elections were fucking like all made up. Like
Mhm.
it has been for a long time. It's like, yeah, you cast your votes, but it doesn't matter. The will of
We
the
have
people
one
is,
party dressed up in two different colors,
yeah, yeah, pretty much.
and it's just a fucking circus, like
Mhm.
a constant
It, it,
circus.
it pretty much is, yeah. Get your
Yeah.
peanuts and popcorn and watch the world burn, I guess.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the will of the people has effectively been nullified now. I mean, you can look, a good example. So we can look at the national side of things, and that's a very big topic. But even locally, like within Washington State, um, the people in Washington State voted on certain things multiple times,
Yep.
basically voted down something, and the state was like, you know what, we're going to do it anyway.
Yep.
Remember $30 tabs? How
$30
many times
tabs.
was
Yep.
that? Like, I think
Three
also,
times.
yeah.
Three times
And
at
then
least.
an income tax within the state, it was like 6 times. And yet they're like, well, we're going to do it anyway. damn the Constitution, you know.
Are they
Like,
actually doing it?
well, it's already there. There's an
Hmm.
income tax in Washington State.
Hmm.
Well, obviously, it's going to be challenged because it does actually go against the state constitution. So we'll see how that plays out. But
Huh.
you know how it goes. If the state wants to do something, they're going to find, come hell or high water,
Is
they're
it
going
a
to find a way to do it.
certain bracket or like
Well,
everybody?
there right now it's $1 million and above,
Oh, okay.
but that's how the federal income tax began too, right? Like, and now, oh, all of us are filing and paying and shit like that. What happened to that whole like top 2% or whatever, and only paying like 1%? No, now now it's all of us, and it's like 20%. And so this is the thing. We see the conspiracy theory shit where it's like there's enough information to suggest a thing without having hard concrete proof. You can have data, you can have evidence, but not proof. But however, now this is all like, I guess, hearsay, but some people in the know within Washington state have said that when they've had conversations with certain people in the government, they're like, yeah, we want to have an income tax for the state of Washington and a sales tax at the same time. The same thing with I remember Dory Monson talking about this like years ago. Sadly, he's gone now, but that they want to have your, like, so you pay a gas tax, you have pay your tabs, and you pay by the mile all at the same time. So it's not an either or thing. They want all of it. They're like fucking heroin addicts or something like that. It's never enough. You know? And you're like, what are you even doing with all this money? And they're like, shut up and pay your taxes. Like,
I I remember so, some years ago, maybe it was during our second season or something, I was playing with the idea of running for governor.
mm-hmm.
I kind of wish I had done that.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd vote for you. I mean, I'd come out of the my cave and actually vote
Yeah,
if
because
you were
like,
running.
Washington is a good example of a place that really needs to like take a good critical look at
Mm-hmm.
expenditures because something isn't really adding up there with the amount of tax that they're
Yeah.
or if not the amount of tax, like are they really trying to like siphon tax from the correct places? Because, like if there isn't enough and they're charging so much on so many things, like what's going on, like
There's definitely corruption for sure,
yeah.
and I mean, you can extrapolate that to like the federal level, and I mean, just basically, it's the same shit, just a bigger scale. It's just
Right.
way more money, and I mean, well, shit. You remember before 9/11 how what was it? Ashcroft came out there, and um, was it Ashcroft? I don't. Who cares?
Ashcroft.
Ashcroft. But said like, oh yeah, well, there's like $3 or $2 trillion unaccounted for within the Pentagon's budget. Like $2 trillion.
Wow.
You don't know where like, how did you misplace $2 trillion? How is that possible? Like, what? I mean, what? You could basically run an entire country with that kind of money. Like what? Well, I don't know. I guess I put it down and it just, I don't know where it went. Like, no, we know where it went. It went to black budget shit. There's a whole bunch of secret shit that, and it's like
It's
we
like
could
it's
talk
like
about
It's a Wonderful Life. It just like has it in a bag and like
yeah,
sets it down.
yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, and then and of course there are a lot of people who say that there's a conspiracy theory that because of that, that's why 9/11 was allowed to happen, essentially,
Hmm.
to sort of distract people from that, because it was a big deal until it wasn't, because, well, the World Trade Center got attacked by airplanes. That was a big deal. And then, oh, of course, see how they play the game too. You can see this over and over again. Like, oh, they're like, oh, well, it's Afghanistan, so we're going into Afghanistan, and then, well, all of a sudden, it just shifts to Iraq. right? Like,
Yeah.
well, wait, it's like a sleight of hand sort of thing. Like,
Right.
and now all of a sudden
That was
everybody's
so
like,
obvious to like everybody. Like I
yeah,
didn't even pay attention to politics back then, but I was like, what?
yeah.
Like, what?
It,
Why?
it well, because there's a plan, and this is the thing. What we got to understand about voting and elections and stuff, it's like you don't really have control. You don't have any say. If there, a lot of the things that are allowed to happen, um, are there to basically set the stage for a particular act to play out. Um, and you bet your ass they know every single thing that's going on 100% of the time. It's their system. They know what's going on. It's like if there's a failure, if there's a fault, it's by design. It's intentional. So just saying, I don't want to get a black bag shoved over my head and carted off to Guantanamo Bay, but you know, it, we really need to pay attention to this shit.
Right.
And like now, see, I don't know, like I guess I take some of those statements, what you're talking about from the Substack thing. It's like, okay, well, maybe she was a jilted lover and was kind of saying some things. I don't know. But I do know for a fact that that is kind of within the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if somebody could do it, they probably would. Now, I don't know about the whole like fucking space lasers and stuff. I don't know. That's some kind of.
Well, um, so there was this thing where Starlink was going to essentially like beam updates to these voting machines or whatever. That was like there was a contract for that or something. Yeah, like this is all stuff there is actually evidence for. So like right there, you can already see there's conflict of interest, right? I mean,
Okay, so this is the thing, and there's an argument to be made there in that we should go back to like in-person voting with paper, like
yeah,
a thing that you push the button and and it punches a
yeah,
hole in a piece of paper, no fucking electronics, like a
yeah,
physical thing. Because why would these things have any connection to the outside world? It should be only
yeah.
internal.
Mm,
Well, they talked about, like I said, it's the same shit the previous election where people were saying, "Hey, wait a minute, these machines have a connection to the outside world. Why? Why do they have an internet connection?" Like
right,
that's just like, yeah, I mean, whatever you believe about things, it's like that's a dumb idea, right? Like,
right.
I mean, that's like leaving you have a fence around your yard and you just fucking leave the gate open.
Yeah.
Like,
How
well,
how many devices that operate with firmware have a little USB thing, and if you need to update the firmware, you just do it with a fucking USB drive.
yeah.
Like you could just do that
Mm-hmm.
and not have any kind of
I I
internet
don't like that.
connection for these
I don't.
things. But
I'll tell you why I don't like
yeah,
that.
even that's a
It's a
problem
black
too.
box.
Yeah.
It's hard to audit. That's the thing. Like it's very easy to audit cardboard things with
Yeah.
holes in them. Like
Yeah.
that is super easy. Like, but when you're talking about auditing equipment, now it's a matter of trust, right?
Right.
Who's doing the auditing? Are they an expert? Are they an idiot? Like, do they have some kind of agenda? You don't
Right.
know. And so then it
Well,
comes
then
down
we
to
come to
trust.
Doge, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, and then it comes down to trust. Like, and I don't
mhm.
trust any of these assholes. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So we should probably be encouraging going back to the old way of like a paper punch card that you do in person, obviously
Yes.
allowing for absentee ballots like we used to do, because it's like I have people in the
Yeah.
military serving
Mail
overseas.
mail is fine. Like as
Yeah.
long as it's a physical thing
Yep.
with a signature, like, and
Yeah.
of course there's problems with that sometimes, but
That's
like
true. Yeah.
it's I would still trust it like a million times more than these electronic doohickeys. You know?
Well, that's true because you have like a physical thing you can look at rather than
Yeah.
just like like a database.
Yeah.
Because like, okay, well, oh yeah, there's a timestamp or date stamp or whatever on that, and there's maybe some kind of a process of seeing who has access to things, but like that can be tampered with too. Like
Mm,
I don't like a system where I don't have, like, me can't just physically look at a thing and like verify its veracity.
right.
That is a problem.
And what they should do so that you can have individual auditing, like
Mhm,
you can audit your own vote, right? You
yeah.
should write in a PIN number,
Hmm.
like handwrite in a PIN number that you choose that
Hmm.
they will set as like the password. And then you can go on the website, look and see if your ballot was received and verify that you voted for who you voted for
Hmm.
by
Yeah.
putting in that PIN number and seeing, okay, yep, I voted for person X or person Y. They
Hmm.
got it correct. There
Yeah.
we go.
Yeah.
Like, because yeah, they can say like, yep, we received your ballot and threw it in the
Yeah, yeah,
garbage, like,
exactly. Yep. Or just change it, right?
yeah,
Like, oh well, you voted for
you have
somebody
no,
else.
you're completely blind,
Hmm.
like, so it's not good enough to know that your vote has been received. You need
Hmm.
to know that they counted it the way you wrote it.
Yeah. And this is where, like, if we were to utilize some kind of technological solution, like blockchain might be a good way to do it. But I'm still like,
Mm.
the thing is, I think we shouldn't
More
allow for
moving
that.
parts
Yeah.
makes it
Well, and
more,
it's also a black box that you have to have
yeah,
some technical know-how to comprehend.
right.
Um, and and yeah, like you said, more moving parts, which of course those are potential um, avenues of attack
Yep.
for somebody who wants to do something nefarious. And so, yeah, I mean, like, there's this whole. Actually, I was, just as an aside, because I was just thinking, like, sometimes the old ways are just the right way. That
Yeah.
adding technology into things doesn't necessarily improve it. Like in Australia, they're starting to change things, and in the U.S. too, in schools, to where, like, back in the day was this big thing, like, oh, we're gonna have laptops and tablets and computers and stuff, and they found that like scores went down, like
Hmm.
the students got dumber, you know. And so now they're switching back to paper, pencil and paper again, and they're finding, like, oh, there's a drastic improvement. Like
Yeah.
schools in Washington State, there's a couple schools, very few, but hopefully it'll change. But they're like, they're actually finding the students prefer that.
Hmm.
They're like happy that they don't have a, like, a tablet or a laptop that they have to lug around all the time. That, like, oh,
Right.
sometimes just a notebook and a pen is better.
Yep.
Like, yeah, yeah, I know. Like, okay, there's a place for the technology, of course, um, for certain applications, but not for your day to day. You don't, like, conduct all of your schooling on a tablet. That's fucking dumb.
Right.
It's completely stupid. It's like, basically people see Star Trek and they're like, oh yeah, we could do that. Let's do that. We have the technology. And it's like, yeah, but that's a fictional show. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we're talking real life here.
I wish Star Trek had had more episodes with just random glitches with the computer,
Yeah.
like everything was working all perfectly all the time as if,
Hmm.
like it
Yeah.
wouldn't really be that way. Like they
No,
didn't even
no.
have an IT guy on the Enterprise.
You're right. Yeah, they had, like, Jordy, who was, like, on TNG, at least,
Yeah.
in
But
the engineering department. But like,
yeah,
they had to do all the other stuff too. So, like, really, are they gonna bother to try to get this, like, school little, what is it, the pad, uh
yeah.
like
Well, when I took
working?
some language classes here, they kind of transitioned to these smart screen things. It
Oh.
started out with a old school chalkboard, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden there's this giant fucking like 12-foot monitor on the wall, and
Oh yeah, with the pen thing, and you can,
with the
like,
pen thing, and like you could
yeah.
pull up YouTube videos and stuff, and of course it would like crash or,
Yep.
like lock them out. And we're just like, okay, now what?
Yeah, exactly. Well, back in the days, we had the chalkboard or the whiteboard. You had the overhead projector, and that was good enough.
Hmm.
And then, oh
Hmm.
yeah, if you want to watch a video, they'd pull out the AV cart
Yep.
and stuff. And that's probably a better way to go.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where people adopt technology just because it exists, and I think that's to our peril. They like, okay, as a hobby or for convenience or whatever, there's nothing wrong with adopting technology to solve some problems. But there are certain things that maybe that's not the best idea
Yeah.
because, well, like it gets to the point where nobody can audit that. And then you have the auditors who are like some huge firm, billion-dollar company that like,
Yeah.
okay, well, where do you make your money?
Uh-huh.
Who's paying you? And could you be bought off?
Oh
Right?
yeah.
And of course they're going to be like, well, yeah, it's 100% secure, 100%, everything's fine. Like, or it's yeah. I mean, and asking the corporatocracy to audit itself is kind of
Right.
like asking the police department to audit itself, to do its own internal investigation. Like,
Yep.
well,
Yep.
yeah, of course. Okay, maybe every once in a while they're going to have some good people people of conscience who will be like, hey, wait a minute, and put their ass on the line because they will doing that. But generally, they're going to be like, yeah, no, we see no wrongdoing here.
Hmm.
Like, oh yeah, that officer did everything right. Yep, those
I feel
14
like the only
people.
time they like actually do exact some kind of justice is just capitulating to the masses, like, oh, it's been a while since we actually like threw someone under the bus. Like we should
Yeah.
probably like
No, that's a
make
good
it
point.
make it look like we're actually doing what
Yep,
we're supposed to be doing
they
here.
will do it every once in a while so that you have this kind of, there's enough stuff you can point to and like, well, yeah, but they got that, this guy
Yeah.
oh yeah, they uncover this criminal activity or something.
Yeah.
And so it maintains your faith. Like
Yep.
if miracles are uh, occur uh, a few times here and there, you can still say, oh well, yeah, God is doing great work because like this one miracle that happened here and one that happened over there, and there must be angels because this thing that was impossible occurred. Like that's enough to maintain the faith. um
Yeah.
and I, well, I mean, honestly, I don't even know, like, just with the thing that you brought up, it's like I like Elon Musk, he's a weirdo. He says a lot of fucking crazy shit. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe it or not, or if it's just like, he's on something, which he's always on something.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just like talking weird.
Well, yeah, and you couple that with Trump and the babbling that like honestly like the Joe Biden could babble with the best of them when it comes to like dementia, but it's like twofold at least with Trump. Like at
uh,
least this term around, like he's making a lot less sense than he used to, and that's saying a lot.
well, yeah, yeah. But I mean,
Um,
I guess,
but I mean, yeah, he's getting up there, right? Like
well,
80
sure.
or something, right?
Yeah. You're gonna, by the time you get there, there's gonna be a lot of wackadoodle statements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only reason that anyone's even halfway onto this is because he's not really able to keep his mouth shut when it comes to stuff like this.
Hmm.
Um, the long chunks of stuff that they were quoting, like kind of before and after, so you would have the full context of the rambling, um, talking about like vote counting machines and stuff, and then parallel that with what Elon had allegedly told Ashley St. Clair about knowing before the votes were fully counted that Trump had already won and stuff like that. And like, yeah, there's enough there to like at least pique the interest to
Hmm.
go and then look at, are there any strange aberrations in the polls and the graphs and stuff? And yeah, there were. Like, so, I mean, I don't know what would constitute evidence beyond that, apart from like an actual audit trail, which I'm sure has been
Audits.
erased by Doge. So,
Well, and that's, I mean, the previous election had some strange things too, and of course, no investigation. Uh, and before that, and before that, and before that, that it isn't. This is not like a unique time. I think that's important to recognize that like this is just yet another instance of some bullshittery happening, uh,
mm,
or possibly happening. Let's say I don't want to say 100%, but I could say 100% that the powers that be, they're pulling the strings. They hold all the cards. They like. There's no way they don't know in advance what the outcome's going to be. It's planned. And so, like, if you think about it, like, okay, let's go back and actually here, little thought experiment. Let's operate on the premise that all of this is a facade. It's like it's a play put on for our benefit, basically, so that we keep the faith and keep participating and don't protest too much. What would be the reason for like manufacturing that particular electoral outcome? Like, why would they do that?
2024.
Yeah.
Um, in order to have Trump at the helm, when I say helm, I
Mm-hmm.
mean like the figurehead, right? The fall guy, if you will, because like that's essentially what that position is, right? Like the puppeteers are pulling the strings,
Mm-hmm.
and if shit goes sideways, that's the one who's gonna take the
Oh
fall
yeah,
for
yeah,
it.
exactly. Like thanks Obama kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I do just by the way, I do have to say, like, I love that time when Obama said that
yep,
himself. That was, it's pretty good.
he had the best sense of humor of all the
Oh
fucking
yeah.
presidents.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
all the commercials he would
Well,
make and
okay,
stuff.
Reagan also
He
was
did too.
up
Yeah,
there.
the
Yeah.
mist.
Yeah. He's like sitting there, like going into surgery, and he's like, I hope all you guys are Republicans. Dude, that's fucking amazing. But anyway,
Yep.
back.
Top two. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but yeah, like going back to
The
why
fall
him,
guy.
why now, I
Mm-hmm.
I will refer back to earlier when I said I think it was intentional that they put Biden in there as a cushion
Mm-hmm.
because, and this is something else I was saying years ago in
Mm-hmm.
our first couple seasons. I feel like first term Trump is testing the waters, pushing the envelope as far as he can, and seeing
Mm-hmm.
if and when anybody pushes back.
Yep.
And then they need time to plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Biden won or
That's
was
yep.
made to win, however you want to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, uh,
Oh,
honestly, they could
for
have
sure.
not interfered, and there's no way in hell Trump would have won an actual election
Mm-hmm.
anyway in real terms. Like the you look back at people who had his kind of approval ratings and
Mm-hmm.
their success rate at another run. You know,
Well,
it,
and even the first
you
time
wouldn't expect
around,
that to pan out, and it never does.
the
Like,
first time around, it was, yeah, like it's always somehow the underdog that somehow wins, right? Like,
hmm
remember how, well, like, yeah, Trump was sort of like, oh, he's kind of a joke, right?
yeah,
Whatever. And there were people who were a lot more eloquent and had better ideas,
yeah.
but somehow it was Trump that won. And then the same thing with
Talking
Biden.
about the first
Biden,
time, right?
yeah, the first
2016.
time,
Yep.
2016.
hmm
And then Biden had like polling at like 2% or something. Like
Right.
nobody fucking cared about him. And
Yep.
somehow he was the guy. Like, wait a minute, what? And then somehow he won on top of that. Like,
Hmm.
how?
Yeah.
Well, there's some monkey business going on. The
Oh
same
yeah.
thing with the last election. 100%, there's monkey business. But you're right. I think the fall guy thing is good because he's the right person to say go into Iran and take the hit for that. Like, oh,
Right.
well, it wasn't the government that decided. It's not the shadow government that decided those things. It was Trump, crazy fucking old man Trump. Oh, look at him. He's
Right.
wild and he's off. He's unhinged. He's just
And
invading
don't get me
Iran.
wrong, like I still think he should be held accountable. He is doing these things and he is gaining a lot from his position of power and doing a lot of harm with it and everything. Like that doesn't mean I don't understand he's not the one calling the shots,
Yeah.
like, but for lack of a real solid way of identifying and proving who's actually doing that and how would you even hold them accountable when they're even more powerful, like
Yeah.
that's a question for like that's a battle for another day,
Mhm.
like the
Well,
first
and
thing to do is to cut that umbilical cord and like get the
sure.
people free from that, you know
Well, the thing is, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
yeah,
That's how the game is played. I I can't stress this enough. This is a facade. It's a stage set, a play being acted in for your benefit to manipulate you. And
yeah,
if you fall into that, if you start hopping on stage and playing the role you're supposed to play, well then yeah, you're just another actor in this play. I guess. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but it's the one that came to mind.
yeah,
Because like that's what you're supposed to do. People are supposed to be angry because there's other things that they want to happen that can only happen when enough people are sufficiently angry as to allow things to happen. The Patriot Act, right?
right,
About that. That would have never passed organically. If say like Congress came up and they were like, "Oh yeah, we proposed the Patriot Act in 1997," people would be like, "The fuck?" That would never happen. But
it's probably when they started writing it though.
uh, funny how it just kind of popped out all of a
Right,
sudden, like
yeah,
overnight. Like, oh no, they absolutely were writing it well in advance. And this is all like there were some other things connected with it, like the Total Information Awareness program that was shut down. So, as is often said, never let a good crisis go to waste, and they didn't let it go to waste.
hmm,
And so that's the thing. It's like the powers that be would love nothing more than to have absolute totalitarian control. And it like it's like some kind of a keto essentially. So what they're doing is they're manufacturing a situation that gets people riled up, that fogs their mind so that they can't think clearly because they're hyper focused on this one thing. So meanwhile behind the scenes they can craft their Lovecraftian world
yeah,
of their desire, and then eventually have absolute control. Like the, it, government does not attract good people. It attracts some of the worst people. And we this is like we need to recognize that
yeah,
like
yeah.
none of these assholes are good people. They are not looking out for you. They're not, you know, your benefactors. They don't have good intentions. And yeah, are there some people within government that, well, see, they allow a handful of people, Bernie Sanders, he's like good. He's got good intentions. But he's
He's
flaccid.
also been around since the 70s or something,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
back before it probably got so rigged, like the way
Well,
it is now.
this is the thing. Like Ron Paul, Bernie Sanders, some of these people
Hmm.
who are like outside the system, who are just sort of like, I'm going to do this for the sake of all mankind, basically. They're allowed to be there so that you feel like there's hope. right?
Yep. Yeah.
That's the reason they're there. They're flaccid. Look at
Exactly.
Bernie Sanders never stood a chance. Notice how he flipped, right? Like early, like when Biden was running,
Yeah.
you know, Sanders had like top popularity. He was like the guy. He was the
Yep.
goat um, in the DNC, and then
Hmm.
suddenly he kowtowed, and then he endorsed Biden. Oh, actually, no, I think because he was running, wasn't he running before when first Trump run, right?
Yep.
And then he endorsed Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why would you do that? Like,
Yeah. He was up against Clinton,
mm-hmm,
and that I don't think the DNC had to interfere with that at all on an official level because they did a good enough job letting the people within the Democrat voter ship do all
mm-hmm,
the infighting and
yeah,
kind of ruin that there at that level. But
mm-hmm,
then when he came out of the gate winning all the like first 7 states or something,
yeah,
then they were like, "Oh shit,
like, oh,
Biden was last place."
yeah, red alert.
Yeah. Then suddenly the media starts coming out with uh, all these strangely phrased headlines and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. You know that like uh, Buttigieg uh, rises to second place or something instead of saying that Bernie was in first place or something.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yep, yep.
you know,
That's and
like
that's
was
actually
this in second place? Who cares about that? You know?
no, that's actually a good point that we need to have that kind of a mindset in our toolbox to be able to identify that kind of tactic because it's used all the time,
Yep.
all the time. Like I remember back in the day, and I don't remember, I think it was before, it was the second Obama term, like when he was running for the second time. Ron Paul on the Republican side was like the same thing, like wildly, like
Yep.
they had to, that his popularity was like 90% or something, and then everybody else was like this little sliver down there, and they're like, oh well, even Fox News is like, well, we don't even talk about Ron Paul. Why? what what
Yeah.
what is going on here? Oh, because he's into like the fair tax and shit and like actually being like a real person. I think we've talked about this. Like imagine like Ron Paul and Bernie Sanders running together,
Right.
like two ball busters.
Yeah.
Like that would, well, see, that would
I just
implode the
I
system.
I'll never forget the I think this was an Onion article or something after that one I just mentioned. Pete
Mm-hmm.
Buttigieg like
Mm-hmm.
rises to second or something. I I think that the Onion released an article. It said Bernie Sanders plummets to first position or something.
That's oh my god, that's great. Yeah. Gotta love the Onion. Like there, oh yeah. I mean, political satire is very important, I think.
Yeah,
Um, I see. Here's the thing: a lot of this is
the jokes
how
write themselves.
well they do. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, like you merely have to quote a politician to have a joke right there.
Yeah.
Like what was it? Who was it? Dan Quayle. Oh my god, some of that shit.
I have made good decisions in the past. I have made good decisions in the future.
Like he's Q.
Hmm.
He's Q. That's what it is. Of course. But I think like we need to understand that this system is corrupt through and through. It is rotten to the core. There's a handful of good people, but they're basically puppets put out there to make you still believe that there's hope, to make you feel like your voice is heard, and that
Mm.
maybe in the future something can change, but it won't. Like the system is so strong and so its tendrils are everywhere. I don't want to get too like conspiratorial here, but it isn't even conspiracy theory. It's just fact. It
Hmm.
is fact that system, like federal and state level stuff in particular, 100% corrupt. And they do not care about you. You're a machine to generate revenue and to do work for them. That's what you are. You're a body. You're a robot, a slave in essence, to do the work of the state. And what they give you is the little circus that you can watch, meaning, election time, where they put on a little show for you, and then you fill out your little thing and put it in, and they're like, oh, good job, I voted. They give you a little sticker, right? They probably give you a little sucker too you can suck on, like, I voted. And now you feel like you've done something, you've made a
sucker
difference.
for a sucker.
A sucker. Yep, exactly. Like, no, you haven't made a difference, because your vote doesn't fucking matter. It does not matter. What you say, what you do, how you vote doesn't fucking matter. That's what it comes down to. And
it's true.
Is it like this whole thing, like, because I read through all that and I'm like, how is that with the Elon Musk shit and stuff? And I'm like, how is that even possible? And like, well, it probably is. In fact, it's not Elon Musk. The system built those backdoors in to be fiddled with.
Yeah.
They're like the dude sagging with their pants down, like, oh, welcome aboard, sailor. It's built for people to meddle with, and they do over and over and over again. And then they'll point fingers. It's like the fucking Spider-Man meme with all the Spider-Man pointing at each other. Like, no,
I hope that, like, that gets out to enough people to where people really do begin to realize, like, what is the point of voting? Like,
yeah.
And whatever they collectively do about it, it ultimately should end with tearing down the current system.
Yes.
Like,
yep.
Yeah, it would be a band-aid to go old school and just have a completely auditable voting trail. Just punch a cardboard slip, whatever. We could even do the pin number idea that I had, so you can check your own vote and make sure for your own peace of mind that your vote was counted correctly. Band-aid. Because they'll just find another way around.
Oh, they will. 100%. Yeah, it's a show. It's like a dog and pony show, basically. And
we can't just keep finding one thing, getting tunnel vision and fixing it.
Yeah.
When there's like 900 other leaks around.
Exactly. Well, it's like whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
You get one and then like two more pop up and stuff. Or a Hydra, I guess, would be a better example.
Yeah.
Like, you cut one head off, and then now there's two heads. You cut those, now there's four, and it exponentially grows. Like, you can't go through
Have
that.
We tried
system.
Cutting their heads off?
Well, the French did.
Yeah.
It didn't exactly
still
work
around.
Out. Yeah. It didn't exactly work out to the best, but Robespierre, I think it was, like, he ended up having his own head cut off. That isn't necessarily the answer, because the thing is, I think so I have this slogan, I guess, that I love to, it's in my sayings kind of toolbox, I guess. Be your own cop. That, like, you don't need a leader. You lead by doing. You just, like, ignore the noise. All the people are like blah, 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 and it's all the blah, 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 that kind of thing. But they don't do anything. They're useless. Okay, sure. When in Rome, they're extorting you. You have to pay taxes because, like, well, being imprisoned sucks ass. So go ahead and just do the thing you got to do. Swear allegiance to the flag, whatever flag they offer. But meanwhile, behind the scenes, you fix it. You build a parallel system that is better, preferable, and sustainable. That like, oh, this is a human built thing for humans to make the world better. And we can do it. I know it's a lot of work. It's kind of sacrifice for a lot of people to give of themselves, their time, their money, their energy, whatever. Um, but we got to do it because the alternative is to, well, there's two alternatives. One, just keep fucking yelling at the wall, punching the sea, expecting the tide to change,
Yeah.
or be a slave ultimately, because that's ultimately where that path is headed. Because don't delude yourself into thinking that there are not a shit ton of assholes up there at running the show at the helm, and they're not idiots. They're fucking clever. They're very clever, and they're playing the long game. So
Yeah.
we need to play the long game too. Is my thought, I
Yeah.
guess. Um,
That's why I'm putting my effort right now into cataloging our show into this wiki format, because that will be a powerful tool.
oh yeah, yeah.
Like within seconds, a person could query an idea,
Mm-hmm.
find all the episodes with timestamps
Yeah.
to that very topic,
Mm-hmm.
and gather, like listen to the ideas that we propose,
Mm-hmm.
process that, think of their own ideas, come up with their, feedback or criticisms or whatever,
And
and
yeah,
begin conversations around
that's the most
solutions.
that's the most important
Hmm.
thing is
Yep.
community involvement, and
Hmm.
that is what the system does not want to happen. Like
Right.
we are
That's
more
why we got to do
dangerous. We
it.
are more dangerous than the fucking Soviet Union,
Yeah.
as far
And
as a
nobody is
threat to
even
the
paying
system.
attention to us, which is probably a good thing,
Probably a good
you
thing. Yeah.
know?
So we're the sleeping tiger,
Yeah.
will explode out of, come out of the earth and stuff like that all of a sudden with
Yeah.
like
Once
a
once this thing
massive
is
back
fully
catalog.
populated, and we
Mm-hmm.
can, we of course have multiple backups and stuff, and we
Oh
can
yeah.
populate it and put it out, and have, like a whole forum centered around it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's when things get real,
Oh
like
yeah.
I
Yeah.
I've even started outlining like a tiered, like a 5-tier phase,
Mm-hmm.
um not counting the current tier 0 where everything's just still being built, but
Mm-hmm.
like how to actually roll out something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, because yeah, without a plan, what's the point, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we do need a plan.
Yeah,
And well, you certainly have to have a plan, and you have to have cooperation between people. And that is
yeah,
the current system as it stands in many countries throughout the world is built around nullifying that cooperative spirit that human beings innately have. They're like, oh, well, there's a problem. Why don't we work together to try to solve it? That's what we do. Well, so what they do is they drive a wedge between some manufactured uh, sides, essentially.
yeah,
so so it's like, oh well, I can't help you because you're the enemy. And it's like, why are you the enemy? Well, because you are. We've just been enemies forever.
yeah,
Star Trek TNG covered that actually a couple times.
yeah. That is a problem I don't really know how to get around. Is that even so, the US with their two-party system, of course, that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge flaw.
Yeah.
But even I even see similar things here in Germany where there's multiple parties,
Mm-hmm.
because the philosophy of politics itself has been bifurcated into conservative and liberal, and
Yeah. Yeah.
people just lump ideas into one of those two buckets, no matter what their parties are called or how many parties they have. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's conservative, oh, that's liberal, and then
Mm-hmm.
they find themselves operating in a two-party world anyway. Like,
Exactly. Well, and then if you were to dig down deeper and like sit there and actually talk to people, you'd find that there's a lot of common ground, that
yeah,
most people kind of want the same thing. They just don't exactly agree on how to get there or what to do. It's like some people want certain things and some people don't want certain things. And it's like, okay, well, there's probably a way we can make that work. But certainly politics is not the best way to do that because, yeah, you do get this kind of uh, binarification. I just coined that term where everything becomes binary, where it's an either or. When it's like, well, it isn't that simple.
Mm.
It's a much more complex sort of thing. And like, and then it gets to the point where, see, this is what, and this is the, I guess, the trick of the game, is that when you have that kind of bifurcated binary political structure, um, people with that say like, well, let's take me for instance. Let's say I'm like, all right, well, I'm an anarchist, but like there's some important stuff for me that is closer aligned with like the Republican Party. Okay. So if I'm going to vote, I might be inclined to vote Republican more. However, there's some other stuff. So let's say I'm running for office. Um, I would have to pick one avenue or another. So if
Mm.
I was like, okay, I'm running as a Republican because the Second Amendment, gun rights, freedom of speech, stuff like that, like freedom in general, that's a big thing. Low taxes, high efficiency, that's a big thing. Um, so now I'm over there. All right, well, but I also believe in the right. Abortion is a right, and I believe in same-sex marriage should be a right. Like that's completely reasonable. Well,
Mm.
but that well, okay, it's changing. But in general, if I was like, hey, I believe in all these principles, we align on so many things except these things, um, I'd be a pariah. Like
Yeah.
they make them like the same thing. Somebody on the left who's running, who's like, well, you know, da 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 da. We like the social things and stuff, but like, well, I'm totally in favor of gun rights. Well, they'd be excommunicated. They
Right.
wouldn't stand a chance because that
Mm-hmm.
they're not towing the line. They're not playing the game the way you're supposed to play it. And so, okay, but why? Why is that the way it is? Is it because that's how people do? Or is it because it's a structure that has been built, a cage that's been built to like around people to segregate them and keep them at odds with each other? So while they're bickering amongst themselves, you could just kind of do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
just saying, like I and that's where I think the best way is we need to just kind of stop playing the game. Just okay, well, let's you be the person to make the change in the world. Look, even a little bit, just do a little thing, whatever you can do. And if you can't do stuff, work with people who can, coordinate with people who can do stuff. Like we can do this. Like somehow we can do this.
Yeah. Huh. It makes me wonder if there's, yeah, like if there is a way to really, we've talked about this a little bit, but have like a parallel government, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because because I feel like, legitimacy comes from not like recognition of other governments upon your
Mm-hmm.
government. The legitimacy should come from how effective you are in doing what you're supposed to do,
Well, and
doing
how
what you've
many
been
people
tasked with doing.
well, and how many people voluntarily choose to be there?
Hmm.
That's kind of a thing.
Well,
Like
and
it,
I
it
I think like on the ground level, it would have to be very voluntaristic, right? Like
yeah.
everyone
Oh
would
yeah.
have to kind of pitch in and
Mm-hmm.
contribute to the act of the governance itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which honestly should kind of be, like I think you've before mentioned an idea of like lottery style
Mm-hmm.
selection, at least for certain things, like
Yeah.
of course you want expertise in certain areas, but when it comes to like, you know, certain offices or, low level governance like mayors and stuff like that, like that. Yeah, like
but see,
I
I
think
would.
there's been a dog that's a mayor or something,
Yes,
right? Like, so
multiple times. He served on multiple terms, I think, and a cat, in fact, too. Well, yeah, no, I believe in like a meritocratic concept. Like, I think that sort of makes sense, but also, you know, participation.
mm,
Like, it should be. We should see it as like our civic duty to give of ourselves for a time, whether it be serving within the military or some kind of uh, construction or maintenance organization or whatever, like some portion, like some oversight organization, whatever it might be. Everybody should, like, you should have skin in the game. That like, hey, I went and I did that. I did my part for a little while,
mm,
and everybody should be expected to kind of do something. Um, and not like, because not everybody can do everything. Not everybody's cut out for military service, and not everybody's cut out for like bureaucratic service.
right.
Like, holy shit, dude, put me in a fucking cube farm and I'll go ballistic. I'll lose my mind. I cannot do that. I cannot, and God damn it, I'm not going to wear a suit and tie. Ugh, fuck that shit. No, put
Not
me
in
in
this heat.
fatigues and I'm good to go. Like, but, and that's the thing. It's like everybody can participate and can help. Um, and not, we don't need one unified way of doing things, but like we need kind of like clustered areas, like regions or something, where it's like, oh, here's where we're doing this thing. So if you want to live in a world that's this way, there's a microcosm of that here, and you can be there, and all the rules, like HOAs.
Yeah.
Hey, you can have an HOA where anything goes. Like, basically, oh well, here, we're here to make sure that nobody destroys other people's shit or kills each other. That's it. Beyond that, knock yourself out. And then you're going to have the nitpicky HOA. Some people want that, where it's like, oh, if the grass isn't exactly the right color, like, you're going to
Right.
get fined. Um, and because I accept that, I'm fine with there being people who want that. But what I don't want is, well, for the people like myself who are the former HOA, um, um, to like pressure to put their will on the other people who want like a comfortable and quaint lifestyle. But I don't want it to go the other way either. Like, I think we can live that way. We can get along. Um, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's possible. We
Oh
just
yeah.
got to make it happen. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's sort of like, what do they call it? Ego death. We need that. We need a like
Yeah.
international ego death where like you finally realize like all that shit that I thought doesn't fucking matter anymore. And then you start from scratch.
Yeah.
And like, maybe that's a good, hmm, yeah,
Yeah. And
that should be a slogan.
yeah, I mean, if enough people globally were behind a movement like this, especially at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if a movement like this were global grassroots,
Mm-hmm.
then you could actually develop a system of governance that's modular,
Mm-hmm.
voluntaristic, like tailor fit to the needs of small localized communities
Mm-hmm.
and there would actually be really no need for all the bloated military stuff like because all of that is just the few people pulling the strings wanting to fuck with the other people pulling the strings
Yeah,
and using us as their pawns to
they
fight
are.
those fights
Mm-hmm.
to build all this rhetoric around like, honor and duty and dying for your country and stuff. When you think about the logic behind that, it's ridiculous.
Well, and
Why?
here's
Why would
here.
you die for your country? There's no
Well,
point,
I would say to that, I would say, okay, well, you first.
Hmm.
Like, if you're a leader, if you are, if you want me to perceive you as a leader, I want you to hop in that fucking tank and lead the charge, or hop
Yep.
in that fighter jet, be at the head. Like, okay, I might actually be able to get behind you at that point, because you're willing to put your balls on the line for what you believe in.
Right.
And then, but to sit there back way, hundreds of miles back from the front lines, if not thousands, um, and to tell people, oh, do your patriotic duty, like, fuck you,
Well,
fuck you.
not even just kings, but even in the history of the US, there would
Mm-hmm.
be generals out on the battlefield and
Yep,
stuff.
yep. Mm-hmm.
But when that rhetoric and like came into play, that's when you saw them backing off, you know?
Well, and it used to be that was the way. Like, you'd
Hmm.
have people on the front lines. I mean, actually, like, I have a lot of respect for Zelensky, um,
Yeah.
for like going into hot zones. Just there he is, and he's like
Yeah.
meeting with the soldiers in the trenches and shit. Like, that's how you do. Like, okay, I guess if Trump wants to invade Iran, well, then I want to see him like standing there with a, I don't know, like a, or flying in some kind of aircraft or something, got like front line kind of stuff. Be there to prove that it's worth doing.
Didn't didn't Bush go to Iraq? Like
Yeah. Yep.
so like at least he was there, but I mean that's not really the same as like going into battle,
That's
which
true. And Iran is still not, it's still murky. Like, there's no boots on the ground as far as we know. Of course, there probably is. There always
yeah,
is.
yeah.
There's always some shenanigans going on. Um, but like, if you want to be a leader, you've got to lead by example. I guess that's what it comes down to. Otherwise, we should dismiss whatever anybody,
Yeah.
a self-proclaimed leader, says. Like, whatever they want to do, you'd be like, well, prove it.
Yeah.
Why? Ask why. Why should I do that? And if their answer is like, well, I'm in a fucking M1 Abrams tank heading into battle, then he could be like, all right, well, there's that. That's
Right.
something.
Yeah, but questioning orders is not allowed, right?
No, it should be. That's
Yeah.
why, like, I have a Army of One sticker on the back of my truck, because I love that concept. And I know I've talked about it before, but like, the Army had that as their slogan for the longest time. Um, and I don't think they realized like the alternative meaning. Like, I think what they were getting at was like, oh, every soldier is capable in and of themselves. But in my mind, I'm thinking, you're your own military. You're independent. You can make your own decisions because you've been trained up and stuff and whatnot.
There's
Um,
even a third meaning that the army should be a hive mind, which is, I
oh,
think, what they actually meant.
I think you might be right to an extent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we should be questioning those things.
Hmm.
Any system that proposes that you defer to their expertise or um, authority, we should be pretty skeptical of those things. I think. I mean, I am personally. It's like, I don't even know what to believe anymore, and it's like, trust no one, not even yourself.
Yeah, yeah, like that line of thinking is always okay as long as you have like when you ask yourself like should I trust this source, are you also asking yourself at what point will I actually be convinced? You know, like,
Mhm.
do you even have an outline or like a goal in mind of what would actually, because otherwise, I
Yeah.
think otherwise you could see that as being like an ostrich with its head in the sand. Like, oh, I just don't want to
Well,
actually believe that, you know?
and it, like having like a a non-committed sort of vector could also end up in like a cyclical pattern to
Mhm.
where like there is no proof, there is no evidence because you can
Yeah.
always find some other thing. So and that's where we got to do fuzzy logic, I guess, in that regard. That like, well, it's close enough to be like, all right, well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
close enough. Like, how do you determine if a person is a good person or a bad person?
Right.
You don't know. Like it's
I mean, that's
experiential.
where I land with the topic of this show, you know, like this whole stolen election thing with the space
Mhm.
lasers and all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
I've looked at enough of the proposed, you know, evidence and testimonies and stuff like that that you know, like I know there never will be evidence, so
Of course. Yep.
you know, I'm
Good.
going to operate on the
Good.
assumption that, you know, like I have enough what convinces me, you know, like I haven't seen anything that really could be construed as like an outlier, weirdo,
Mm.
one-off thing, you know, like there's corroboration there with these stories and stuff, like more
Yeah.
than one person saying the same stuff and, you know,
Well, and if you want to see if this is,
same with Epstein files and all
oh,
that stuff, you know, like
God fucking
a
A.
lot of this
Or the
stuff, like there's
UFO shit,
actually,
man.
yeah, there's a lot of reason to think like, okay, time to stop being skeptical. Like at this point, it's clearly just like, okay, lay your cards on the table.
Well, and
You know, like
I would like to see, I guess. Oh, we have a comment that questioning authority should be praised.
here,
Purple
here.
star. Yep.
Yep.
Um, I it's important, I think, that like sure we could say this particular situation that oh wow there's some sus shit going on, but we
Hmm.
need to carry on and not be like oh when the winds blow favorably for what I believe then I can just rest. No, that is the time you need to be even more awake and aware and cautious
Right,
because
right. So like I said, you can't just patch one hole and there's 900 other leaks. Like,
exactly, yeah.
you know, it's
Well, and
pointless.
yeah, and I mean, I it's
But it
perfectly
doesn't mean
fine
you
to
just let yourself drown either, you know.
no,
Like,
no. Well, that's where you basically just jump ship, detach from that
yeah,
system, and do your own thing. Like,
yeah.
all right, I've got a dinghy. I guess I'm fucking on the ocean by myself. I'm figuring things out. Like, whatever the hell was happening on that ship doesn't matter anymore.
My
Um,
dinghy-ling, my
yeah.
dinghy.
Well, and
Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, like
it's sorry.
it's the logic, you know, like s- the whole fallacy, let's say. You've heard of that one, right?
Hmm.
You know, where it is possible to be too critical of uh of a situation, right? Like
Yeah.
being too skeptical and kind of missing the truth for being like too nitpicky about what constitutes as solid evidence or something, you know.
Hmm.
Because there are situations where evidence will always be murky. I mean, look, take a look at rape, you know,
Hmm.
prove rape, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, like by by the standards that most of us think of what proof is, it's absolutely impossible to prove rape because that's an intent.
That's true. The
Part
only
of that is proving intent,
and
you know?
oftentimes that would be hearsay, like a he said, she said kind of thing. And
Exactly.
I mean, unless you had
But that
like
doesn't mean it
video
doesn't happen,
evidence.
right? You
Yeah.
know? And
Well, yeah, I guess no, no. And that's important. Definitely an important thing we need to consider.
Yeah.
Uh, that well, because the system is not going to provide us with the back end information
Right.
to like definitively, conclusively show what reality is. No, that's state secrets stuff. Um,
Yeah.
well, and I guess what I'm getting at is like it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Like, I mean, yeah, okay. Well, maybe it does matter in the sense that it's good to once you start to, I guess, question things and kind of like start to realize that, like, wow, it's irrelevant. Whatever person, whatever, whoever wins the popularity contest, I'm still getting fucked.
Yeah.
Like, that's
No,
the thing.
try not to see it from your own personal perspective because, yeah, to you and me, it doesn't matter because we already know the system is rigged. We already know the system is bullshit, that voting doesn't count.
Yeah.
We know these things. But this system or this situation could be an opportunity for people who do think their vote counts to actually see the truth. And that's
Yeah.
the point.
No, I
That's what
agree.
we should be focusing on. We
100%
should
agree.
like like we shouldn't actually be like or, we should be skeptical of this. It should actually be more like this might be a good thing for people to pay closer attention to if they actually believe their vote counts because it probably does
Well,
not. And
you know,
here's
the
your sign.
the schemer within me figures like, hey, this could be a perfect moment to play the same game the way they're playing the game and flip the script.
Yeah.
That, like, hey, why don't we start fucking around with them?
Yeah.
I, like, well, we'll do the exact same thing. Hegelian dialectic our way into things. Like, oh, yep, we're just going to manipulate people. Well, I don't want to do that, but we could. Um, I'd say manipulate people in a way that makes them more free at the end of the day. So you go through some kind of gauntlet, I guess. I don't know what I'm thinking, but
Well, I mean, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
yeah, yeah.
Like use the same tactics, but
Mm-hmm.
instead of using deception as your ingredient,
Mm-hmm.
use the truth as your ingredient,
Yeah.
but cook it in the same way that they're doing.
Yeah.
Like
Well, and like what I want
presentation is
exactly.
how,
Yeah.
yeah, like
And so by manipulation, I mean sort of like playing into people's psychology to sort of get them to see things
yeah,
where they might not otherwise see things. And so it's like, okay, well, something like what you were, slippery slope. Yeah, that is, yeah. Well, distributed systems are a lot more difficult to corrupt, and that's what I propose is a distributed system.
mm,
But like maybe play the same game for a time
hmm,
to like counteract, I guess, the propaganda and the nonsense.
right.
Um,
Well, when you say propaganda, um, that's actually one of their favorite presentation tactics
yes, yeah.
is propaganda. You remember like uh, truth.com back in the day
Mm-hmm.
with all their like anti-cigarette
Oh yeah.
stuff and it's like I remember you and I had many conversations about like if they have to call themselves truth.com,
Mm.
uh can you really trust that they're telling you the
That's
truth? You
uh-huh.
know, like Trump with his Truth Social. It's like, okay.
Well, well, it's kind of like the used car salesman that would be like, "Would I lie to you?" Like,
Exactly.
well,
Yeah.
of course you would lie. I mean, it's in your MO. Of course you're going to lie to me. And that, you can look at that with politicians too. Same shit. Like, no, they're not telling you the truth. None of them are. Every single one of them is lying because every time they'll make a bunch of promises. It's like battered wife kind of shit. They'll make all these promises and tell you pillow talk and like, oh, we're gonna do all this stuff, and then as soon as they get elected, they're like, what? The gaslight you. They're like, well,
Yeah.
I never said that. Well, what I actually said was, and like, well, but yeah, but you said you were.
Hmm.
It's like if you're hiring a contractor, okay, you want a shed in your backyard, and you a contractor's like, we're the best contractor out there. We build the best sheds. They last for fucking ever. They're indestructible and cheap. We'll build you a shed for like $500. That's 20 by 20. It's huge. Indestructible. And then as soon as you sign the contract to be like, all right, we'll go ahead and build it. I'll pay you the money. Then they're like, well, we didn't really, yeah, we don't actually even build sheds. Um,
Yeah, the problem I think is a lot of what politicians say. Uh, I don't think they actually think about what goes into like upholding that promise. Like it isn't
mhm.
their promise to make.
Yeah.
They've got to work with the system and other people in that system
They,
together to make that happen. Like
so
nobody is actually a
they,
dictator, like
yeah,
by design, you
they
know.
don't actually have to work with the system. They need permission from the system to do the things to fulfill their promises.
Hmm.
And well, that's not generally allowed from what I've seen. Usually, of course, they're gonna toss you a nickel and stuff. Like, oh yeah, here's a couple of things. Look! I did what I said I was gonna do. Right?
Right.
I did it all. But like, okay, well, yeah, but that's sort of a half-ass. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
like what didn't Trump like get rid of the penny or something? It's like, oh, okay, well,
Well,
if
that
you did
actually
that.
was like a treasury thing. It's been going on for a while. I'd
uh,
like to see him get rid of the nickel too and the dime and just go to quarters. Let's have quarters. That'd be perfectly
yeah.
fine. I mean, what's a quarter even worth? What? Why the fuck are we making any of those coins? Like the dollar is worthless thanks to, well, it wasn't Nixon finally, but Nixon definitely signed off the death of the dollar back in the day. Um,
I I tell you, that's yeah, like coins suck, but I
mm,
really hate that like the 1 and 2 euro currency is coin based, and Canada does that too.
yeah.
Like, so you've got like so many freaking coins in your pocket or your wallet or whatever. It's like, oh God, it's freaking heavy. Like,
Yeah. Oh
got like
yeah.
an extra kilo, like
Yeah.
just in coins.
I know. Well, yeah. Pick a lane, I guess.
Hmm.
Purple Star says, why not just go to the dollar? That's kind of what I was saying there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we probably should. But this goes back to like the system doesn't care about you. They don't care about how many kilos you're carrying around in your pockets. They're like, well, we're going to do what we're going to do, and you're going to accept it. And if you
I'd rather
protest,
rather than like getting rid of certain coins, I'd rather just get rid of inflation so that those coins
yes,
actually had some purpose.
yes. Well, and that's where going back to the gold standard would be nice. Like if we had if we had stable currency that didn't go all up and down, and governments couldn't be like, well, we'll just, I don't know, spend a bunch of money we don't have.
Mm.
Which like, well, so keep this in mind, governments doing that, spending that money that they don't have, makes the money that you have worth less buying power, yet they get their F-35 jets and stuff. They get their new
Right.
tech, they get all their shit. And of course, you know, they're going to shave off a little for their buddies, and their buddies are going to hand it to them secretly. Um, like we need a paradigm shift in our mindset of like, honestly, like, because people are afraid of the government. They are like, oh, the government's so scary, the government's so big, or they respect it, or they obey, or they follow the rules. No, we need to mock the government. We
Mm.
need to make fun of it, to laugh at it, and just be like, oh, cool story, bro. Wow. Okay, boomer. And just turn our back and do our own thing and take care of our fellow human beings the way that we always do, the way that we should do. I
Yeah.
guess that's my personal philosophy. Um,
Yeah.
because like the government isn't going to do it. They'll tell you they're going to do it, and then they just don't. Like, okay, well, how many times are we going to have this expectation of fulfilled promises before we realize they never fulfill those promises ever? Yeah.
Government cares if you're carrying certain types of kilos.
That's true. Yep. If it's grams, it's fine. If it's kilos, it's prison. Because trafficking, no, hey, whoa, whoa, leave the trafficking to us. That's what the government, like the CIA. Oh my God, dude. I okay. I don't want to disappear, but I'll tell you. Look into some of the shit the CIA's done when it comes to drug trafficking and child trafficking. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and like, hey, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the wedge we could drive between people who love the government and think it can do things, and the people who want to be independent of that.
Well,
Um,
yeah, this is why I love whistleblowers. I want more
yeah,
whistleblowers. I want people to be more open-minded to what they say too,
yeah.
because like you should be less skeptical of a whistleblower actually, because like they are putting their ass on the line.
Well, that's true.
You
Now,
know, like
okay, there's nothing wrong with being skeptical, but you should listen
yeah, yeah.
and entertain what they have to like. Hey, okay, well, I'll look into it. That sounds. You shouldn't dismiss it outright.
Mhm.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Um, like Edward Snowden, he's
Yeah.
he's a national hero, probably an international hero, I'd say, because like for the longest time, people thought like, there's some weird shit the NSA is doing, like some spying shit, but it was all hearsay. It was just speculation, and then Snowden released like hard fucking data. Like, oh shit, it's bigger than we thought. The conspiracy theorists were 100% vindicated. And then okay, it's a big deal when the US government is like, oh, you're enemy number one. Like,
Right.
oh, okay, well, this is shit's real now. Like, oh, he had to move to Russia to
Yep.
get away. Like, and
Hmm.
well, and here's the thing, he still has a dead man switch. There's a bunch of information which he claims to have that would be absolutely devastating to the US government. So if he doesn't check in with his system on the regular, it will just release it. So we'll know even more than we already know. And what we know is bad enough. Like, I thought that the TIA program back in the day was pretty oppressive and totalitarian. It like even just that tidbit of stuff that Snowden released, it's like, whoa, shit. Why are people not like storming the Capitol and
Now,
being like,
here's
what the fuck, man?
here's my little slice of skepticism there. Like, why doesn't he just release that? Like, he's already established that wherever he's holed up safely, they haven't plucked him out and killed him.
Well,
Like,
I think he's actually enough of a patriotic person to not do that, because he knows that if he does release that, it will implode the system. like
We should get in touch
hardcore.
with him because
Yeah.
like at some
Uh,
point, like
you do that over there. I'm not going to do that. I have my means of communication, but I'm not that's one um, tiger I'm not willing to poke. But like he released the stuff that was like there's enough proof, there's enough evidence here, so you can kind of make up your own mind. But that you'll note, so Maduro was plucked out from Venezuela with like this super slick military operation. Um,
Hmm.
you'll note they haven't in that the time span since Snowden released the documents, they haven't tried to do that to him. And it isn't
Right.
because Russia is more capable. Actually, they're probably less capable. Um, no, it's because they're afraid. They're afraid that of like if that information gets out, like they don't want this guy to die.
Hmm.
So I mean, what a great place to be. Where like
Yeah.
even your adversary is like, man, we gotta fucking save his life.
Yeah, but I mean, like, eventually he's human, right? You
Yeah,
know, at some point he will die
he
and that
will.
information will come out.
It
And
will. And I think that's by design. I think he's planning that like, well, it's okay. It's been a decade or a couple decades or something, and it's high time this stuff comes to light.
yeah. So, I mean, there's that to look forward to, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, from what I've heard, it's devastating. It is like think of the worst possible thing you can think of as far as like what governments do when it comes to surveillance, and then like put an exponent on top of that, like cube
I
that.
I wonder if it's got anything to do with the Epstein files.
It could. I mean, it could even tie into like the UFO shit, like or
Yeah.
whatever JFK stuff. Like I wish all that actually came out.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. But here's the thing, to all the people who were like, oh, Trump is going to do this. Da, da, da. Well, he said he was going to do that. Did he do that? Do you have in your hands the totality of unredacted Epstein files, all the UFO files, all the MLK files, all of the JFK files? Like, do you have that? Or is it all redacted still?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
basically, it's the same shit. It's it's a dog and pony show.
Latest I heard was that the word don't was redacted.
That's
And
weird.
and of course when you think about how is that spelled, Dawn T
Oh,
um
yeah. So somebody just used
oh
AI
yeah,
to redact things.
control F
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Well, and they bungled it too. Now, I don't think they actually bungled it when it came to like basically like changing the font color where you could just kind of
Mm,
highlight stuff.
yeah, I think that was
Somebody did
like
that on
on
purpose.
purpose, like, okay, let's let people see
But
what's
that's
actually under here.
a good plausible deniability sort of thing. That
Exactly.
like, well, oh, I don't know. It was all black, right? It's
Those
good.
were heroes in disguise there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every little bit we can get. I mean, we're never
Also the
gonna
don't
know.
thing, that's like also a clever little thing,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
because I mean, ask yourself why, unless you actually want it to sound like it's saying the opposite of the negative thing,
Mm-hmm.
but would you
I
know
I
that
would.
that would be a pretty obvious,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what
I
word is probably there? Don't, I guess,
I would love nothing more than to have to undergo some kind of thing like a I don't know, IRS audit or whatever. And like I give them documents related to things and it's all like fucking
Yeah.
blacked out. And they're like, well, what's this? And I'm like, well, it's redacted. State secrets, man. Sorry, I can't tell you that. And they're like, well, but you have to. I'm like, well, I learned it by watching you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, just say, it's above your pay grade. I'm not
Yeah.
authorized to tell you anything.
Yep. Oh, hey, but if you do want to know, you can file this form with our back end department that, you know, deals with that kind of thing. So file this form, fill it out, send it in triplicate. Also, we need all of your information, your personal information, social security number, all that jazz.
Yeah.
And then we may or may not give you that information. See,
And never actually say you're an agent of the government, because then they could have you for impersonating an agent
yep.
of the government. Just
No, no,
act
you're
act as if.
as if, yeah. Yep. Just
And
do
that's
the
part of the
same
game.
things. Yep.
That's I think that's a good example of, I think, what you were talking about. Like,
Mm-hmm.
pull their own bullshit on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah. Well, and
yeah.
if enough people do that, and well, we have the technology now, you can like live stream that shit. Um, and yeah, maybe not everybody's going to be able to pull it off correctly. Um, but that's okay because like the arrests will also be, well, people are going to see that.
Yeah.
And like, be like, what gives? The guy was just kind of joking, like pointing out your bullshit. And now you're like fucking throw him in a prison cell. Like,
I mean, have you ever tried to use the Freedom of Information Act?
I haven't, but I know FOIA requests are kind of messy.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, that's another one of those kind of illusion things, like,
Yep.
make you think, okay, yeah, we've always got that there if we need it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but
It's an illusion of transparency, is what it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not actually
No.
you're not actually getting anything
Well,
worthwhile.
I mean, the fact that they can redact things
Yeah.
tells you it's an illusion,
Hmm.
right? Like, okay, if you do a FOIA request about things and like most of the pages are just black, well, what's the point of even having that system? Like, okay, well, yeah, I guess you're forced to tell me what you want to tell me. Where's the value in that?
Just some extra bloat for the
It
tax
is.
dollars to be wasted on. And
Mm-hmm.
not saying a system like that shouldn't exist, but it
It should,
really
yeah.
should be a hybrid, um, between government and nonprofit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
going back to the idea of checks and balances,
Yeah.
there always needs to be public involvement,
Yeah.
like, not just access, as they like to put it, when it's not really even access.
Well, it's only, yeah, the access they give you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, they might as well be like handing you their used tissues and stuff and being like, here, you can look through this.
Oh,
Okay.
well, you
I
could
think I
blow your
see
nose on
a
that.
reflection in this booger that
Yeah.
somehow was seared
So,
with the information.
yeah, it's perfectly good tissue
Zoom in,
because,
enhance.
well, we used it to blow our nose, so you should be able to use it to blow your nose too, right? I mean, that's legit.
Mhm.
Oh man, I guess, yeah, man, that it's all an illusion.
Mhm.
This idea of these people being good people, altruistic, like, oh, we're here for the people. They always tell you that shit until the votes are cast and some outcome occurs. And then they're like, who are you again? But
Yeah.
they'll be like buddy buddy with you before that. Like, well, that should tell you a whole hell of a lot, shouldn't it?
Yep.
Like, try going up to one of your representatives, whatever it might be, and just having a conversation, and they're going to be like, security. Like, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, hey, what's going on, buddy? Like, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, the
So
government is
I think,
basically like the HR department at
yeah.
a business. You know, it's like
Hmm.
they're supposedly there to protect the employee, but
uh,
they really
they
just
they
protect the employer.
they work for the company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're, I mean, I'm sure maybe an individual working there might be like, oh, well, I care about this, but they have to juggle
I'm
that
sure
with
they do, but
what
yeah,
the
like
company
you
wants.
never trust HR.
No,
Never.
nope.
Never trust HR.
Never divulge any information. Um,
Yeah.
hmm,
That is a valuable lesson that
yeah.
people should learn.
Hmm.
HR is not on your side.
Well, and never trust the government too.
Mm,
But like what you said before too about the system of checks and balances, um, why would we trust that system to check itself and balance itself if it's all government? Shouldn't there be like some nonprofit private sector stuff in the
yeah.
mix to kind of like something independent of that, to be like, whoa, hey, be able to have that kind of capability?
I mean, in theory, right?
The
It does make
media.
sense because the government is made up of individuals, and
Yeah.
assuming those individuals are acting in good conscience, checks and balances ought to operate exactly as intended.
Yeah.
But when you get corruption in there,
Well, one of the
there it
things
goes, you know?
is operating in good conscience doesn't make you a lot of money and it doesn't let you control people.
Right.
So like I said in the very beginning of this, is like the government, the system of governance we have in place attracts a certain type of person, and they're not good people generally. I mean, maybe they're good in the day to day. If you were to meet them at a grocery store or something or at a gas station, they're probably perfectly fine. But when it comes to decision making, they don't have your best interest in mind. They will throw you under the bus. They will kill you, um, if it furthers themselves. Um,
Yeah.
well, we speaking of evidence, we have plenty of evidence for that.
Oh yeah.
Like they're not your buddy. They're not your friend. Um, they're yeah.
It is like sad how much of the infrastructure in the United States is kind of built around the assumption that, oh yeah, people are just gonna have to kind of suffer and die sometimes, like
Mhm.
when it doesn't have to be that way. Like,
True. Yeah. Hmm.
demonstrably, like there
Hmm.
are other governments doing things to not have that be such a problem, and yet it's like very much like, I mean, like homeless veterans. How can you, how hypocritical is it? To,
Yes.
speaking of Memorial Day tomorrow, right? Like to
Yeah.
have like two separate holidays honoring soldiers for their sacrifice, and yet letting them go without mental health after, you
Hmm.
know, like PTSD
One
from
of like
war, being
combat is
homeless.
one of the most like mentally intensive
Right.
things that, like, yeah, we should have that.
Like
Why don't we have that?
you can't tell me you give a shit about your troops
Hmm.
while simultaneously your actions are showing the exact opposite. Like,
Yeah. Like deciding to send the soldiers into combat for bullshit reasons and then like not funding or defunding or lowering the funding
yeah.
for services ex post facto kind of thing, like that should be like the highest order. Like, why am I on the hook? I like, that's one of the things, like the charities I donate to involve kids and veterans,
Mhm.
though, like so many of them. And
Well, that's kind of the greatest need thanks to the government, you know, like
yeah.
between that and like, you know, like the whole abortion thing that we briefly mentioned earlier,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know, where you're on board with abortion, which kind of goes against a lot of right-leaning ideas and stuff. And it's like,
Mhm.
but the right-leaning crowd is always this quote unquote pro-life, right? But
Mhm.
I guess only after the birth has been completed, and then it's like, okay, kid, you're on your own because, like, you know, after that, well, no, you don't get any extra support for raising your kid.
Oh yeah,
What the
so
fuck,
think
you
of the
know? Like,
children, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's bullshit.
You know,
Oh,
my wife was astounded to learn that there are homeless children in the United States.
yeah.
I was like, well, yeah, like homeless people do have kids, you know,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
and yeah, like that's not a thing here at all, you know?
Hmm. Well, and this goes back, I guess, to kind of what I have been espousing often is that it should be a science-based sort of thing, where
Yeah.
if you see something that works over there, we should be analyzing that and being like, oh, well, would that work over here?
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. It's possible. It's not, the planet Earth is not a one size fits all sort of thing where like what works over there is going to work here. What works in the desert isn't going to work in the jungle necessarily. But like we should be looking at it and thinking about it.
I can say from experience, like geographically, we're not, you know, talking deserts and stuff like that. So geographically, we're pretty much the same, Europe and the US,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, and culturally, like there's not that much culture shock that
Mm-hmm.
one would have, you know, either. It's, you know, like we're all as a human species growing up together on the
Mm-hmm.
same planet. Like
Man,
we're not that different
that's
at all.
good. It's a
Like
good way to put it. I like that.
so
It's good.
what what works in one place should be evidence enough that it's not a question of like how and why is that working so much as like how and why aren't we working to make things, you know, like have that same goal, you know, like even if you arrive there at a slightly different way, like just the fact that you haven't hit that goal, haven't even come close, is enough reason to be like, okay, time to go back to the drawing board here.
Well, sure,
Like,
and I think
you know,
it's fair to maybe try some stuff.
hmm
And this is where having more a more distributed structure would make that work. It's like, okay, well, let's see. Why don't we see? But we don't have to shift everything in the entire space. We could be like, all right, well, we'll let these guys who want to do this thing do that thing and see what happens. Like if it
hmm
works, we'd be like, well, that actually we should adopt that. It's kind of
yeah,
like seatbelts. You know, people back in the day didn't wear seatbelts, horse drawn carriages and stuff. You just sat in a seat and that was that. And of course, back then, if you got in an accident, you'd probably fall down or
now
whatever.
if let's go hypothetical here with Washington State and they're
Mm-hmm.
tax happy and everything.
Yeah.
Let's say I did run for governor years ago and I won. And
Mm-hmm.
I came out and I said, you know what? Like, I would like to uh, have an income tax, and here's what's going to happen with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to eliminate homelessness in Washington state.
Mm-hmm.
Would it then feel less painful to pay that tax, especially if I outlined a plan? I said who's on board within the government that's going to help me make that come to
Mm-hmm.
fruition. You know, like if if it was treated like a hypothesis, if
Mm-hmm.
governance was hypothesis based, you would propose that you want to do this thing, you want to raise this tax in
Mm-hmm.
order to do a thing because your hypothesis is that with this money thing, you know, money A can make thing B happen.
Yeah.
And you draw a plan for how to get from A to B, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and then you have something testable and verifiable and something you can
I,
prove yay or nay. Like,
so okay, like as an anarchist, I would be in favor. I would be supportive of that, as a crucible to test the idea in some with some limitations. Like, okay, you propose this. That looks like a pretty good plan. I'm willing to pitch in for that because the outcome is worth it.
Right.
Like, oh, this is a common problem. Like, literally everybody agrees that, oh, we don't want homelessness. Homelessness equals bad.
Right.
People living on the street is a bad thing. We don't want that. We want people, productive society, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Especially
if
if you
you
set
came
goals
across,
like with 3 years of revenue,
Mhm.
we should hope to see a
Yeah,
60% reduction in homelessness. And if you hit that goal, great. And if you don't, then you say, at that point, we need to reevaluate, see what's going wrong.
yes,
And like,
that's the
yeah,
key, is that
you
it's
have these
not indefinite.
milestones where, like, if you hit a goal, great. If you don't, you got to backtrack a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
eventually at some point, if it's not working at all, you just get rid of it.
yeah,
Like,
well,
you have to sunset it, right?
yeah, exactly. No, I'm completely on board with that. Um, and if you have a good enough idea, you don't need to coerce people into doing it. People will crowdfund that shit. They'll be like, oh, well, that's a really good idea. I'm behind it. I'll back that. And then pretty soon you've got more money than you would have gotten in tax revenue. Um,
I mean,
so
I think even Elon Musk once said, like, show me a plan to end homelessness with however much money or whatever, and I'll
mhm,
sell certain shares of stocks. And like a think tank actually like did kind of what we're talking about, like
mhm.
actually drafting and proposing an idea with like plans and evidence and all this stuff, and he totally like backpedaled and like
Oh, the boogeyman. Yeah,
so
well,
it's
I
like
mean,
it would be great if crowdfunding could actually like kind of get off the ground,
it can
but
but when you're dependent on like one singular source of revenue and resources,
mhm.
that's problematic because you have to convince one person. But when you have millions of people that you just have to
That
give
should be
like
the
a
easier
decent
thing.
pitch to, yeah, you would think. But it doesn't play out that way. So like convincing somebody, like one person with billions of dollars, to give billions of dollars to a thing is more difficult than convincing millions of people with $1 to be like,
That's
well,
true.
why don't you give $1 to this cause? We're trying. And so I would like to see more of that, I think, and having this idea of sort of trying different things, and then if it doesn't work, we sort of just kind of, well, it didn't work. I guess that's how it is. Or if it
Yeah.
works, we double down. And we're like, well, fuck, there's like half the homeless people here in this town now. Well, I guess they're doing a good thing. They're doing it right. So sure.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, you donated $5 last year. Would you donate $10 this year? And you'd have evidence of the productivity of that thing and the efficacy of that thing, that
Right.
idea. Um, so like, yeah, of course you would give more.
Yeah.
Like, because
And of course, then the other part about goals is
mm-hmm,
like once once you do meet the goal,
mm-hmm,
the tax should go away,
should go away.
or you should say the next project
Yep.
we will tackle will
Yep.
be blah blah blah.
No, that's a
Like,
great idea. Yeah. Would you like to like roll this over to the next thing?
yeah,
We okay, we've pretty much fixed that. Like it's there's still work to be done, but it's mostly settled down,
hmm,
mostly solved. But now there's this other thing. Yeah, we should just keep rolling through and solving problems and making the world a better place. Like I
yeah.
don't that to me is not controversial. Um,
It,
what
that
is
that actually
controversial?
isn't even that hard, I think.
No,
Like
no,
it really shouldn't be. Like
yeah. But what is
that's
controversial to me is when people extort money. They basically take, like, keep in mind, tax money is your life. It is the time that you've spent on planet Earth that's been the candle that's been burned down, uh, has been taken by somebody else, a third party, and they're supposed to do something with that, presumably. I mean, otherwise, why would you give it to them? So I want them to do that thing, right? If somebody says, hey, we're going to make the roads better, or we're going to help the homeless, we're going to feed the world or something. Well, okay, you better fucking do it. Otherwise, next time you come a knocking, sending your tax goons over to take more money, like I'm going to get a little pissed because look, I don't mind giving. I don't mind giving, but I want it to go somewhere and do something. Like, but basically, the way it works is there's this kind of assumption that like, oh, you just pay your taxes and the government is benevolent. They're the good guys. They're out there looking out for us, taking care of things, making sure everything's safe and whatnot. And it's like, okay, I don't see any evidence of that working. Like, okay. I mean, I guess the roads technically exist. They suck to drive on.
They would be much worse without any care, of course.
Yeah. Well, true, but it's like, okay, could we maybe squeeze a little more out of that lemon? Than just it's like out of sight, out of mind. People are like, well, I pay my taxes, I vote.
That's always the thing to remember is like, you know, as shitty as things might be, like they would definitely be worse in the complete absence of that, system.
With the way
with nothing
things
else
have been structured over time. Yeah. Yeah, of course. If you just pulled the rug out from things, it would be pandemonium.
Yeah.
And I recognize that. And that's why, like, I kind of propose this idea of this kind of parallel system where we just sort of build up a way of doing it better beside the current system. And just like, well, fuck it, we're gonna do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, y'all have no idea how to figure out how to solve the homeless problem,
like
the mental health.
What happens if you just go patch a pothole by yourself, assuming you even know how to?
You might be arrested. People do it. They're like in Tacoma. There's like guerrilla, like night pothole patchers that come in with like a little asphalt bucket and like quickly patch it up and roll it over and stuff. They're the unsung heroes. I'll say that. But
because that's the thing. Like you could just do that. Maybe even do like a shitty job or something, like pour concrete in a hole with a bunch of asphalt around it and
well, okay,
that would work, but it might create other problems, right?
I will say that our British friends have it right, like people in the UK. So what they've taken to, because they're having the same kind of situation where like high taxes, low output, essentially. And there's potholes everywhere. So what people have started doing is spray painting cocks, like cock and balls, over a pothole. So like, because it's like they have to take care of it at that point. They can't ignore it. So there's a big old cock and balls in the middle of the road. Like that's fucking genius, I will say. So there you go. Maybe it's this sort of like passive aggressive way of getting government to like finally do what they're supposed to do.
To quit dicking around and
yeah, exactly. So like in Tacoma, of course, we have the pothole pig that's highlighted in the Tacoma Reporter. So they go like egregious potholes that there's this little pig they stick in there and take a picture of it. And everybody gets to look at it and be like, wow, why is that pothole not filled? Well, you could fast track that shit by just painting a big old dick, big old schlong right there in the middle of the road, and they will patch that. You could, so here, this is what tells you, maybe illustrates the issue. Like, you can call in, you can like file paperwork for years and years, like, oh, there's this pothole in my neighborhood there, well, there's a crack in the sidewalk or something like that, and the kids keep tripping over it. They won't do shit. Years will pass. But if you paint a big old dick or a pair of titties or something over that,
What about the children?
yeah, the next day there'll be a fucking crew out there patching that shit up.
Huh.
So that tells you they have the means. They
I
just
feel
don't
like
have
that
the.
could work in America because they're so prudish.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Just spray paint a big old dick. I'm not advocating for people to um you know deface streets and public property and stuff, but it works. I'll just
I
say
mean,
that.
the pothole is a defacement in itself.
It kind of, yeah, it is.
So
Mm-hmm.
technically, if you want to be pedantic about it, the
Mm-hmm.
government is uh, kind of guilty of a graffiti of sorts
Well,
by
and
not fixing the potholes. Like,
and actually, I've known a few snowplow people over the years who have said they've been instructed by their higher ups to tip down the plow a little bit to gouge up the road, to benefit the other guys that they work with who fix roads. So it's like this whole circular sort of thing. Um,
oh, geez.
yeah, yeah. The deeper down the rabbit hole you go, the like more despondent it appears
Like,
to
and
be.
that's not even big company. You can't even blame that on corporatocracy. That's
Nope.
just assholes. And
No, it's like it's very high level. Yeah,
God,
just like two companies that kind of, oh, it's like my brother's company that does the road work, and then I have the snowplow company, and so they work together.
wow. They need to end up on our villains list.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hey, we got a.
Aha. The other Casey.
Oh yeah, how's it going, man? Yeah, but we're
Well, yeah, I think you jumped
unfortunately
in
we're
at the tail
basically
end.
wrapping up.
Yeah, it's really freaking hot up here.
Yeah, it's pretty hot up here too, and
Yeah,
I mean, ugh, man. Well, God, this is such a good episode. Holy
yeah, but
shit, we covered a lot of stuff.
yeah, I'm building out a wiki. So eventually, all the stuff we talk about will be like super interconnected. It'll be safely
Condensed
backed up
down.
in several places and
Hmm.
available for people to peruse and go down rabbit holes. And
Well, and maybe that's the we can utilize the server that we have in Panama, um, as another backup.
good, yeah, yeah.
So might as well keep that up. Honestly,
Even
isn't
though,
that?
like, for whatever reason, the friggin' website doesn't function anymore, and
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have
so
to look
weird.
into that, but yeah, man. Well, I had a
Yep.
thought that I was going to bring up, but I mean, it's probably we're far in enough, I think.
Yep. Yep. Been a couple hours, so
Yeah, about two.
probably should probably empty the bladder.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's oh dark 30 over there in good old Germany.
Well, 22:30 anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's still pretty late.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for deep sink diving into stolen elections and, of course, as always, how to fix everything. We
It
have all
always
the
goes
answers
in.
here.
Yeah, we always go in that direction.
But I mean, what if we do? What if we do have all the answers? And it just needs to be laid out and presented in a proper package
Yeah.
and scrutinized by multiple people, peer review, right?
Yep.
It's always about the
100%.
scientific method here
Yep.
on kitchen sink microscopy.
Hmm.
And that's what we're gonna do. That's our goal. That is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put our money where our mouth is and do better than the politicians, and we're gonna deliver this. So
Hmm. Oh,
there, there it
oh
is.
yeah. Jabroni. Yeah. Hey, how's it going, man? Uh, good of you to show up. Yeah. It was a good conversation. I'll say
Yep,
that.
yep. Season 8 has so far just kind of been like our general drawing board for how to make the world a better place. So
Well, it's almost like the first few seasons were sort of like if you were to say like artillery or something. We're sort of firing blindly and
yeah,
then like kind of hitting close, and then eventually by the time we got to season 7, it like we're like, oh yeah, we're almost there, and now we're on point and we can just hammer that
yep.
target over and over and over again
Hmm.
with expert precision.
We've definitely built a unique platform,
Hmm.
and I think the next step in our evolution that makes sense is this incorporation of a, a wiki to
Yeah.
be the glue for all the ideas, uh, so that it's organized and at that point, like it'll be very simple to kind of export ideas as a package
Hmm.
and build it into a cohesive proposition, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. We just need more people in the
Yeah,
mix to
absolutely.
propose other stuff. Because, like,
I will say this, like the wiki format that we have right now, I think like anyone can edit it, but only one person can actually save it, which is probably a good thing while we're building it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's a good idea.
so
We
I
get,
think once it's ready to roll out to like a legit website, that's the point where we can bring in involvement from the viewers.
yeah.
Um,
Well, because like we can only speak from our own perspectives, and well,
yeah,
there's basically two of us.
exactly. Yeah,
So, and like I'm always willing to entertain other perspectives. Obviously, um, like I know what I like, but that doesn't mean that other people need to like the same stuff I like or
yeah,
want the same things or have the same needs. So that's kind of what we're trying to craft here, I
yeah.
guess.
But in the meantime, we have YouTube. So
Yeah.
if an idea that we've posited strikes a chord with you in positive or a negative way, we invite you to leave comments as be as verbose as you feel like being.
Yep.
The
Mhm.
more the better, probably.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
it might even be a topic for an upcoming live stream. So,
Hmm. Well,
and of course, anyone is welcome to come on the show too.
oh,
Anyone.
absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
we're not like yeah, we're totally down
Gatekeeping.
to earth. Like,
Yeah.
we're not like, oh, who are you?
Hmm.
We don't need people to be experts or anything. Like good ideas come from everywhere.
But this is very true. Yeah. Absolutely.
And you shouldn't feel like you need to be an expert to
No.
throw your ideas
You,
out there. So
well, but honestly, if you've simply lived and observed, you probably have ideas that are valuable, things that people haven't thought about. Sometimes the experts, one of the problems with experts and people who win popularity contests is they get like myopic,
yeah.
kind of like this narrow vision of like, we're,
Oh, Jabroni says, hopefully I can come up with some ideas to encourage everyone to look at Casey's package. Well, I don't think anyone needs any encouraging. So
there's a story there that I remember
oh yeah.
about a window, I
The
think.
mushroom stamp. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh god.
Oh man.
But that's a story for another day.
It is, yes. Yeah, that we're
Cliffhanger.
we're already demonetized, of course, but that's fine.
They call it the cliffhanger.
The
Yeah.
cliffhanger. And there's a guy like with the whoo.
Been a while since we got ourselves demonetized.
I
So.
know, yeah. Well, apparently that one episode, like there was nudity when there wasn't. Remember that? We got demonetized for nudity and we were like wearing t-shirts and shit.
Crazy.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and
All right.
yeah, okay. I guess we can go on, but
That's
I
enough
think
dick
we
jokes for one episode.
that's a good way to end it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dick J jokes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, take care of each other out there, and we'll see you next time.
Cool. It's too bad people come in right at the end when
I
we're
know, I know. Well, at least